We're just going to hop right into it because I think that this is some really valuable information here. So, Moldavite can make you feel sick, uncomfortable, agitated, words in that kind of grouping. And I didn't quite notice it at first in myself when I was wearing it. And the thing is when I first started wearing Moldavite, I didn't know really what it was. I didn't even believe in the power of crystals or any of that mumbo jumbo. I simply thought it looked cool. Okay, so I'm beginning to wear it, and at first, like I do, looking back, it was kind of like this spacey detachment that I felt, but it was very minute, and it was because I think that you're not really quite in tune with it yet. It was also a smaller piece, so the changes in the feelings kind of grew over time as I kept it with me longer, and my vibration would raise with it. So, spinning back a bit here before I start to tangent, I didn't notice the discomfort in most areas of my life. And I believe that that's because this isn't like an egotistical brag here. Everybody is doing different things. But I already had been working through a lot of like darkness and kind of removing aspects of my life that I felt were bringing me down. So I had already been doing that kind of work. Now, where the greatest example from my own life that I can throw into this comes into is my job. So my job is that I am a waiter. I thought that that was totally great, and you make a lot of money for the time that you're there, so I was able to do the things I love a lot in my free time, which is what was also very important to me. So enter in Moldavite. I get my first piece, I'm wearing it, feel a little bit kind of spacey, but not really attributing it to the Moldavite because I didn't even know what Moldavite was or the powers that it has. And I go to work, and I'm just having shit days, shit day after shit day. Like I'm getting agitated by people, my coworkers, the customers that are there. I'm getting agitated by things that normally I'm like, whoop, right over my head. I don't care at all. I'm just there to do my job, have fun, and make some money and go home. That's what it was. And all these things were making me uncomfortable, and I couldn't understand why. I was feeling like sick whenever I was at work. And instead of just being there in the moment and having fun with my job while I was there doing it like I've been doing for the whole year prior, all of a sudden I didn't even want to be there anymore. My whole shift I'd be thinking about, I can't wait to go home. And there wasn't even anything at home that I would rather be doing. There was just something about being at work that suddenly felt toxic. It got to the point where even my days off work, I felt toxic about my job, and I was having all this anxiety and thinking about it and all this stuff coming up and just feeling sick and heavy. And then all of a sudden, one day, I'm driving to work and I'm wearing my Moldavite necklace. It was this one. It was not this one at this point. And this one was wrapped. And I'm wearing it, and there's this weird wah 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 kind of aha moment where it all kind of clicks, and I go, I've been having really shit shifts since I started wearing my Moldavite. So I took it off, and my shift was totally fine, and I had fun, and I was interacting in goofy ways with my coworkers. And so that being said, this makes it out to sound like, and I tried this again, by the way, and it happened, and then I wore the Moldavite necklace again at work, and I ended up taking it off 40 minutes into the shift because I was feeling like shit at work. And that's when it all clicked, and I started looking into Moldavite and its powers. And so I was pretty turned off from it at this point, yet there was something still about it that drew me to it, but outside of work. I would only wear it outside of work because it kind of sucked to have that fun taken away from me. Like I really used to love going to my job, and then suddenly I didn't. That sucked, and it didn't make any sense. Now, over time, what is happening is that my vibration was raising with that of Moldavite, and what I thought was what I wanted to be doing, all of a sudden my higher self had more access to me because of this, the tektite here. And because of that, I started to feel uncomfortable with what I was doing because my higher self knows and knew that I should, could, and needed to and wanted to be doing more. Not more as in looking down on the job. It's not that it's a bad job and it's not good enough for me. It's not about that. It's about my own individual soul, if you want to call it that. My soul knows what it wants to do. It always knows. The one who's confusing it and adding his own reason and rhyme to everything is this, which is what this video is mostly about. So we're going to use me as an example because that is the easiest way for me to talk about these circular type things without projecting onto other people. And so here I am. Okay, this is Ego Nathan. Ego Nathan is standing before you in front of the camera, moving his mouth and making sounds at you. The reason that Moldavite is making you uncomfortable and is making you feel sick is possibly because it's dissolving layers of yourself, and it's starting to reveal to you what you might truly be wanting, truly be needing, what moment you really need to find yourself in. And that's uncomfortable because you've been living through the eyes of this, your ego self. Ego Nathan, this is who I've been existing through. And my whole life I've been building up likes and dislikes, and I wear this kind of clothes, and I'm this kind of person conversationally to strangers, and I like this, and I listen to this kind of music. All these things start to dissolve, and they all start to become very uncomfortable. And it might make you want to throw your Moldavite out the window if you are clicking it with that. Like I said, I didn't know at first that it was from the beautiful and lovely Moldavite that I love so much now. But once I realized that it was that, I didn't have these realizations that I'm explaining to you now. So I would just take it off at work because I need to be able to be in good spirits at work. As a waiter, you make your money really based on tips and the kind of experience you're able to give your customers and your guests. So it's totally had been screwing me up. As my vibration began to raise because I was wearing it every other moment outside, I started to have that permanent experience whether I was wearing it or not. And as my vibration began to raise to that of the Moldavite, like I've explained how the energy balance works in past videos I could link, as you are raising to that, these layers of your personality dissolve. And it's no longer something that you see as your personality. All of a sudden, it all becomes clear that this is your personal reality that you've been living in, that you have chosen for yourself. You weren't born with this like, you weren't born with that. And I'm not going to get all philosophical and esoteric here because I'm talking about Moldavite in this video. But that's kind of what it brought into my life. And so I think it has that ability to do it for you too, and with other people that I've seen with it. It's going to dissolve who you think you are. And that is uncomfortable, and it will make you feel sick. And you have to learn to just bask in the glory of it all happening and take it as it comes and grow, because that is why Moldavite is known as the crystal / tektite of transformation. There is a reason that it's referred to this all throughout time. And like I said, I didn't know any of this beforehand. I was just wearing it because I thought it looked cool. I didn't even know that it was Moldavite. And it just blows my mind because it's also serendipitous. It's all so much so synchronicities. So it's through all of this serendipity and synchronicities that I've been throwing around, you start to become more comfortable with your true self, the consciousness that you really are, and Moldavite will help you to do that, whether you want to or not, which is why so many other videos and other people are mentioning, make sure you're ready to transform with Moldavite. You have to be ready, or it's going to destroy you. It's not going to destroy you, it's going to destroy the person that you thought you were. And so some people might not be ready for that. For me, I really lucked out because all I've wanted for the last 7 years of my life was to completely change, because I was having a really hard time with who I was, and I had a really hard time letting go of who I was. And so to all of a sudden, over just the span of like 3 weeks of having the Moldavite, having that all just dissolve, it was an incredibly, I'm not going to say traumatic, because traumatic I feel like encompasses something you can't let go of. And what it did was it brought up all this trauma that I had, but it wasn't the Moldavite that was giving me traumatic experiences. It was things that I was burying inside of my person that I navigate life with. And it's really quite beautiful seeing all of that now, as it truly is. So life may kind of start to suck when you start wearing Moldavite and when you start working with it, meditating with it, whatever way that you're encompassing it into your life. Maybe encompassing is the wrong word. Let's say incorporating it into your life. It's probably going to start to suck. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Yes, it's going to make you uncomfortable, and yes, it's going to make life seem like it kind of sucks in certain areas. But there's this really, really, really profound thing about Moldavite that just blows the ceiling off my brain when I even just start talking about it here. And it's that it's your intuition. You already know deep down that these things kind of suck. But Moldavite, it doesn't even let you have the choice. It just forces you to see it from your real consciousness level of who you really are. And you can fight it all you want, and you're just gonna make it suck and more uncomfortable. But if you just accept it, accept the feeling of suck that you have when you're wearing your Moldavite, and you become more in tune, and you start to think about why, and then all of a sudden, what I'm trying to say here is you don't even really need to think about why, because the Moldavite just kind of does it for you. And I'm not saying this is just something that you buy and you have, and that's it. No work involved. You're good. You just let it all happen for you. It does take work. It does take effort. It takes emotion. It takes weight. It takes all of those things. You do have to be ready internally with who you are. You need to want to change. Otherwise, it will make things worse. And in the sense that you just won't work with it. It's going to bring these things up, and you're just going to get rid of it if you're not ready. So if you're not ready for Moldavite, it's going to disappear on you. You're going to get rid of it. You won't buy it in the first place. You won't be drawn to it. But even in those feelings of having your life kind of suck at certain parts, there are these moments of bliss that I experienced with Moldavite, and moments of bliss that I know that you will relate to after you've been working with Moldavite. And so I just kind of want to throw it out there to you so you can be more receptive to it when it first starts happening. Because it would have been cool to kind of know these things when I first started wearing Moldavite. So when they were happening, I could go, oh, okay, that's this. So I should probably be receptive in this way. No, I just was winging it and had to figure it out. So that's why I'm hoping this video can help you work through the suck. There are these moments of bliss that happen, and I'll give you a quick example here. I'm in my car driving somewhere to go do what I thought I wanted to do, right? What ego Nathan wanted to do. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, it was to go ride my bike. And that's obviously, you can easily see that is not an inherently bad thing to do. Going on a bike ride, that's great for your body. I was going to be out in nature. It's something I've always loved doing. It was my plan. I had planned it for the day before. I get in my car, I pack my bike in, and I start driving. And instead, what I do is I pulled over at this different location and ended up walking down, and I made my way to a stream that was there. And this was nowhere this was not a bike trail. And the reason for this is because I was about to pull off at the exit for the biking, and I felt that feeling of suck. It was so uncomfortable. And I had already at that time related it to the feeling of my intuition growing while using Moldavite as a powerful tool that it is. I related it to that, so I felt that feeling of suck, and I didn't make the turn. And all of a sudden, I didn't make the turn, and that feeling of suck turned into this profound bliss of electricity and love exploding inside of me. And that is something that Moldavite has also helped me to incorporate into my intuition and my soul life. And I didn't know where I was going, but I just followed the bliss. I followed it. And that's why I ended up pulling off at this one part where I just saw it, and it wasn't a matter of thinking. I just felt this bliss, and so I followed it. I followed it because it was me, and I pulled over, and I walked down to this stream, and I took my clothes kind of off, and I got in the water, and I just sat there. And I was just one with the water. and I had some incredible, profound realizations. That is not what this video is part of, but one of the most profound moments that I've had happened in that stream. And since then, I have learned with Moldavite, when things suck, when you're feeling that feeling of suck and uncomfortable and sickness, listen, let it happen, don't push it away. And when you start to feel that feeling of bliss, listen. Obviously, let it happen. Why wouldn't you want to? But follow it. It's taking you somewhere. Your vibration is raising to the level of Moldavite. And your intuition and who you are is just growing. And so you may feel sick at first because it's hard and it's heavy. But I'm telling you, the payout is so worth it, guys. It's so worth it. The bliss that I feel in my everyday life now, like, yeah, I still have downs and I still feel that feeling of suck, but it is so different now. It's like every inch of it, every give and take is so beautiful, and it's not a battle anymore. It just is what it is. And so, all of that being said, at this point, you should all know how much I love my Moldavite from my other videos if you've seen them. If not, feel free to check them out. I pretty much only talk about Moldavite so far because I just love it so much. And I really hope that you guys continue to work with your Moldavite, or if you have interest in it, you get one, because it has totally helped me to change my life in ways that I've wanted to for so long, but I just couldn't. So get yourself some Moldavite if you're ready to feel the uncomfortable. Get yourself some Moldavite if you're ready to dissolve who you think you are. Get yourself some Moldavite to become the bliss that you already are.